I checked out Impact Under Siege this week, and I have quite a few things to say about the pay-per-view. AEW Dynamite last week was very eventful, had new champions, a breakup, and even new matches announced for Double or Nothing. We're going to be talking about that as well. Damian Priest versus The Miz sets wrestling back 30 years, Zelina Vega is joining back in WWE, and New Japan Pro Wrestling is about to be back on the road again. Don't know why I did that accent. Guys, this is the 47th edition of the Chill Spill podcast. The S is silent, by the way. Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Tyler Mask, aka Tyler Coon Williams, aka Suplex. That's SOOPLEX on TikTok, which one of my videos has about 100,000 views now. It's like I'm my first semi-viral video. Not gonna lie, low hype. Also on Twitch, that's SOOPLEXX. 2 X's on Twitch, 1 X on TikTok. Which announcement, guys? This week will be the very first week we will be watching AEW Dynamite exclusively on Twitch and TikTok. We will not be live on YouTube this week for Dynamite. It will just be on Twitch and TikTok. I'll be putting a video out about that the day it goes out. But for all of you listening in, if you want to watch my reactions to Dynamite and join me for it, make sure you guys go over to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/suplex at the very top. It says twitch.com. I need to change that. AKA the one who lived. And guys, welcome back to the 47th episode of the Chill Spill podcast. And that's pill spelled with an S, but it's silent, much like all the wrestling fans were when they found out that there were going to be zombies at WrestleMania Backlash. I stopped watching The Walking Dead about 2 years ago? I didn't think I'd ever see it again in this magnitude in a wrestling match. But here we are. Maybe this is a sign to start watching the show again. I mean, it's about to end very soon. I think it's on its last season, which I think it's concluding either late this year or early next year. So sooner or later, the show's going to be done. But until then, we're still getting Walking Dead pop culture, even on wrestling today. I mean, Walking Dead was more popular than ever in 2015 when it had, 14, 15 million viewers every week. Now it's down to 2 and 1 million. It took quite the Monday Night Raw plunge that show did. But y'all, we are here, we are live. We have quite a talk about this week. First few things I want to talk about here are some passings. Well, one passing and then 2 rememberings. So the first passing that happened this week was the passing of New Jack. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the wrestler New Jack, whether it be for his very realistic feeling promos, his essence, the way he carried himself, his matches, his time at ECW, or the mass transit incident, the incident where he beat an old guy over the head with a barbed wire baseball bat, literally. I mean, I didn't really talk about this guy a lot on Twitter. I saw a lot of people putting tweets out like, oh, rest in peace, da-da-da. I didn't really say anything. I'm like, eh. And the reason I didn't say anything is because, you know what? I am a firm believer that even though you could be the greatest wrestler in the world, you can be the best at your craft. But if you are a shit person in real life, it's not going to make up for it. It's not going to make up for it. And I'm not talking about just being an asshole. I'm talking about you did some heinous shit, some really bad shit. Like you're a shit person. Then for a while, your craft can make up for it. But at the end of the day, it's not going to cover for it. And the thing about New Jack is, you could look at his career, wrestling, just straight wrestling, and be like, yeah, that guy had a very good career. He obviously didn't go too far because of, how outspoken he was and how scared a lot of bookers were to, actually get him on their show. But even with all that being said, you can't just ignore all of what New Jack did in the past. Yes, I know that he's dead now, but we can't just have rose-colored glasses on. This is what he did. And I could go down a litany of things that he's done, but I'm not here to do that. So for me, even though New Jack had a really good legacy in the ring, outside the ring, I don't see a reason to really praise him. I don't really see a reason, to say, super elegant things or pretend none of that happened. Nah. And I was also told if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. So I just wanted to say that. I mean, rest in peace. Like I said on my live stream when I found out about it, condolences to the family and friends of New Jack. However, it's just. But all that being said, let's now talk about two people who were absolutely great. And the first person I'm going to talk about here is Shad Caspar. Now, I grew up on wrestling in that 2000s period, even early 2010s period. I kind of have to say early 2010s because once you got to late 2010s, I'm like 20, so I can't really say growing up when you're 20. What year do you guys count as like stop growing up? Like when do you say you stopped growing up and like you're an adult? I guess 21, and I turned 21 in 2018. Yeah, 2018. So yeah. So basically early to mid 2010s and basically all the 2000s. I started watching wrestling in 2005. Yeah, like 2005. And when I started watching wrestling, there was not too many black characters like on screen all the time. Like I can't even really pinpoint like any black wrestlers on the roster in 2005 aside from Booker T, who I don't think was even in WWE in 2005. Booker T and Shelton Benjamin. Like those are the only ones I can think about right now. Only ones I can think about. 2006 rolls around, and mind you, at the time, and even to this day, even from time to time, me and my cousins grew up watching wrestling. It was me, my cousins Darren, Emily, Deshaun, and Jerry. It's four of us. We'll all sit down and watch like old wrestling tapes that I could, that my parents would buy for me and whatnot. And from time to time, because they didn't have cable at their house, they would come over to my house. We would watch, Raw or SmackDown. And I remember me and Darren, his favorite wrestlers were JTG and Shad Caspar. It was just, the way they carried themselves, it was, I hate to say it was relatable, but it was like really the only thing at the time that kind of really struck a chord, And that's why I think a lot of people vibe with them. A lot of, my section of people vibe with them. I say my section. It sounds so weird. But even though I had to say that, I cannot deny that Crime Time were perpetuated as black stereotypes. I mean, come on. Their name is Crime Time. It's not even spelled crime. It's CRYME. It's Crime Time. Yo, like just the way they talk, the way they dressed, out from the hood, always, quote unquote, stealing stuff, breaking stuff, like even the theme song. Bringing the hood to you. Bringing the what you gonna do. Like, they were a perpetuated black stereotype. So, that's one thing I'm not going to ignore. However, as I was saying earlier regarding that, I think a lot of the black community that resonated with them, and I say a lot of it, but some of the black community that resonated with them, and like I said, because there was not that much diversity on the screen, they're popular. And I'm not going to sit here and act like just black people like them. Because, people of all races like Crime Time. And they were a very entertaining act for the time they were on WWE television. I believe they were on TV from like 2006 to 2000, like maybe 9. And I got to say that 3-year period. Because in 2009, I still remember to this day, I don't remember exactly what happened, why they broke up. But it was like an episode of SmackDown. And Shad turned on JTG, and I remember my cousin and I were just like shocked. We're like, what? Why? And it was so bizarre because it's like you kind of didn't want them to break up because they were so good together, but at the same time you do realize that breakups happen. They're gonna have a good feud, I'm sure. I think they only had like maybe one match with each other, and Shad won. Like come on now, Shad was the really tall one, really fit, buff, agile. Like when you think about it today, you could compare them to almost Enzo and Cass, not gimmick wise obviously, but just in the way they're positioned. Like JTG was the very entertaining one, the short one, and I'm not going to say he couldn't wrestle like Enzo couldn't wrestle, but he was the lesser in the ring. And then Shad Caspar, he brought that to the table. So that was kind of the package deal. You got to have one with the other. And you didn't really know how one was going to survive without the other, especially Shad. And even though, and Shad, he did well on his own, and they were pushing him for a hot minute. But then I remember they just kind of stopped pushing Shad. And then next thing you know, he got released. I don't remember why Shad got released. I might have to look that up myself. But Shad got released. They kept JTG, and then JTG just kind of floated on the roster for a few years until they released him too in like 2013. It was just such a weird breakup for them. But one of the weirdest things about Crime Time in that period of time is that even though they were the hottest act, and you could deny it all you want, but at one period of time, Crime Time was the hottest act in WWE, released on Monday Night Raw. Like, I remember they were teaming with John Cena. They were getting, big time segments all the time. They weren't main eventing every week, but, they would be in main events from time to time with John Cena and the wrestlers. But they never, ever won the tag team championships, and I will never understand why they never won them. And even after they broke up, they never won any championships. Shad Caspar, I think, may have contended for a championship one time, but then he lost. I just never understood why they never went after it. It's the same thing with Enzo and Cass. It's like they were such a hot tag team act, but they never won the tag team championships. I don't know. WWE is very weird with the whole tag team thing. But that was Shad Gaspar's legacy in WWE. A fine career in terms of entertainment and what he could bring to the table, but sadly, he never really had any accomplishments or feats to really amount to what he was capable of. Now, after WWE, I can't tell you what he did. He appeared on a few independent shows here and there. And in 2019, I went to New York for WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania was in New Jersey, MetLife Stadium, WrestleMania 35. Also in New York was Joey Janela's Spring Break, which was an event I was very excited to go to. My friend basically all but begged me to go to that, friend at the time, all but begged me to go to that show instead of NXT TakeOver New York, and I decided to go. And on night 2 is when Shad and JTG came out during the clusterfuck battle royal, and the crowd went nuts. The crowd went wild for JTG and Shad. And they didn't really do much in the ring. They got eliminated after, I think 2 or 3 minutes. But, I don't remember them, wrestling. That was the first time seeing them wrestle since I was a child. And I was so amped to see that. And then, a day later, it was WrestleMania. Because that was Saturday, and the next day was Sunday. It was WrestleMania. And before WrestleMania was the Bullet Club Block Party. And the Bullet Club Block Party obviously was hosted by the Bullet Club. You had Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Taiji Ishimori, Jay White, Yujiro Takahashi, Battle Fight. Very fun event. I enjoyed the Bullet Club Block Party. They're doing a meet and greet. Just a separate vendor, because they're not part of the Bullet Club or anything, was JTG and Shad. And I'm like, yeah, this is fucking cool. I get to meet people that I grew up on. And I remember I went up to them and I shook their hands, and Shad was just so nice. He could not have been if I could have the picture on my phone, on my older phone, I'll upload it here. But Shad could not be any nicer. JTG was nice as well. JTG seemed kind of distracted at the time because someone else was talking to him. It was another wrestler. I don't remember who it was, but someone else was talking to him, so he was kind of distracted. But Shad gave me all his undivided attention. We were talking about, how I grew up watching him, how entertaining he was. I remember kind of asking him about the storyline with JTG and himself, but I don't remember his answer. Sadly, I don't remember what he said. But I brought a signed picture of them, and I'm like, hey, listen, I grew up on you guys, and I'm a big fan of your work, but my cousin is a humongous fan of you two, especially JTG. So, it would be so awesome if you guys could just sign this picture. So I bought a picture off of them, and they signed the picture. They signed his name. I did not have a folder or nothing to carry. I had nothing to carry this picture in. And I was afraid that I was going to, because it was going to rain soon, I was afraid it was going to either get wet or get lost. And I'm like, I can't get this lost. It's from my cousin. And Shad went inside the building, and he got a plastic bag. He got some material, and he basically wrapped it up for me, for him. And it was like Shad was just so fucking awesome, bro. Like I never told that story, but that was my experience meeting Shad. And then, 2 years later, well, 1 year later, this incident happens, and I still remember the story. Is that I believe it was his son, and his wife were out at the beach in California. And they were swimming with each other out in the ocean. And a riptide came and would start to sweep both he and his son away. And I believe the lifeguards were coming around, or, whoever comes at sea when that stuff is happening, come there. And I believe Shad and his son were kind of separated. And they were about to come get Shad first. And Shad's like, no, save my son, save my son. And they go to grab his son, and then when they go to grab Shad back, he was being whisked away by the riptide. And then a day later, or 2 days later, somebody found his body at shore, and sadly, he lost his life. He died a hero. And that, more than anything, will be his legacy. If wrestling is not his legacy, dying a hero and saving his child's life will always be that. So we just came up on a 1 year anniversary. I wanted to touch upon that and just say a big rest in peace, rest in power to Shad Caspar. And lastly, the 1 year anniversary of Hana Kimura's death is coming up this Sunday. And I wanted to briefly talk about her. I've talked about her in the past. I've made a video on her, I believe the day of her death. But I want to just kind of reiterate again since we're here. I got into Stardom in late 2019. I didn't actually know what Stardom was until 2018 when Io Shirai came in. I had to look it up. I think it was either Io or Kairi. One of them came in and I looked up their previous work, and that's how I found out about Stardom. But I didn't pay no attention to it. Io came in. I started to dabble around with a few matches here and there, but once again, paid no attention. 2019, probably like I would say mid 2019, it might have been, you know what it was? The very first show I ever seen Hana Kimura on was the G1 Supercard show. She was on a pre-show. And I remember seeing her character, seeing this pink-haired girl with all the colors and stuff, and being like, wow, she stands out. Like, that's quite something. But, it was on a pre-show. I didn't pay much mind. A few months later, I see a video of a Stardom match online, and it's featuring Hana Kimura, and I click on it, I'm like, hey, you're the girl I saw at G1 Supercard. That's what's up. And she was wearing the pink hair, she had the get up, she was with the fashion called the Tokyo Cyber Squad. I'm like, oh, this is actually a pretty cool act. So I watched the match, I enjoyed it. It was very different from any other women's match I've seen. And from there, I kind of just went down a rabbit hole, watching Hana Kimura matches. Then I started getting to Harisa Hoshiki matches and Tam Nakano matches and Mayu Iwatani matches. Like, Hana Kimura really was the catalyst for me getting into Stardom and really Joshi wrestling in general. I really have to credit Hana Kimura for that. And by late 2019, I was watching Stardom. Like, I would basically, to get into the product, I would get home from work. I would turn on like 1 or 2 matches and I would go to sleep. Like, I basically would go to sleep to these Stardom matches. I believe the YouTube channel was JMD. He used to post Stardom matches and he would put commentary over it, which technically was not fair use, so his channel got deleted. But he posted full-length Stardom matches, and that's how I really got exposed to the product, was through those matches. And Hana Kimura was the catalyst for that. And by the very end of 2019, I had subscribed to Stardom World. I used my credit card. I bought a subscription. The first show for Bottomania. The first full-length show I watched was Stardom Year-End Classic 2019, where I believe I saw Hana Kimura's best match, which was the debut match of Giulia. Hana Kimura versus Giulia had a damn great match. One of the best women's matches of 2019, in my opinion. I haven't seen it since, but I do remember it being really good. I might even watch it back this year for the 1 year anniversary. But Hana Kimura, she was so beautiful, so full of life from all the clips I've seen her, from all the stories I've heard of her. And then, of course, in January of 2020, I went to Japan for Wrestle Kingdom. You guys know this. January 4th, 2020. I bought a ticket a few weeks prior to attend a Stardom show. It was Stardom what's it called? Wrestle Cinderella in Ryu Goku. It was basically like an hour away from the Tokyo Dome. But I bought that ticket because I was really, really into Stardom, and I wanted to see these ladies perform live. You know, to knock it out and say, oh, I got to see a Joshi wrestling show while I was in Japan. You know, knock it off my bucket list. So I bought the ticket. I got to see them. I got there I think like maybe an hour late or something. I got there pretty late. But I got there. I enjoyed the show for the most part. I mean, the show wasn't anything crazy. It was really just one of those. You could compare it to a Road 2 show in New Japan or a throwaway Monday Night Raw. Like, it was just a show. But it was just a great experience to be there and see these matches live and to see Hana live and to see Arisa and Mayu and Tam and Julia. And it was great. It wasn't something I'll never forget about. Now, after the show ended, everyone started exiting the building. And we go into the hallway, you know, the corridor section of the building. And that's where we're seeing, you know, meet and greets. You have some lines of people lined up to meet some of the wrestlers. You have Hanan, Starlight Kid, everyone's, you know, doing their signings. And then off to the side is like kind of like a premium one. And the first one, I believe, was Konami, then Jungle, and then Hana Kimura came out. You know, I at the time, I wasn't really big on either Konami or Jungle. So I just wanted to be Hana. I'm like, I just want to be Hana. I just want to be Hana. So Hana comes out, and she's in a hurry. Like, she's like, okay, come on. Like, she, like, is getting people over. They're paying her to take a picture. Boom. All right, bye. Come on. Like, you know, she wasn't being rude about it. But, you know, you could tell she was in a hurry. Because, like, literally in, like, an hour, she had to wrestle in the Tokyo Dome, the pre-show of Wrestle Kingdom 14. It was a tag team match. It was her and Julia versus Arisa Oshiki and Mayu Iwatani. She had an hour, so she was trying to get as many pictures in as she can. Now, I was looking at my pockets because I believe the pictures were 3,000 yen. It's like 3,000 or 4,000 yen. And I was checking my pockets, and I remembered that I used the money that I was going to pay for a meet and greet, if I could. I used that to get into the show because I kind of forgot to pay for the ticket early. So I said earlier that I bought the ticket online. I think I did buy the ticket. Okay. My God. Botchamania once again. I did buy the ticket online. I think I used the money to buy, I think, some food and to get there. And that's why I couldn't buy the meet and greet. So I didn't have enough money and I was so sad. But I just wanted to go up there and shake Hana's hand and wish her good luck. But she, like, 3 guys before me, she had to leave. And I'm walking out and she passes by me. And she's like, oh, hi. I guess she saw I was like waiting in line. And she's like, hi. I'm like, okay, good luck. She's like, thank you so much. And then she leaves. And I'm like, that was so awesome. So I go to the Tokyo Dome, watch Wrestle Kingdom. She was on a pre-show. She had a good match. 2 days later, at New Year Dash, Stardom is having a meet, like they're having a big meet and greet. So now it's Queen's Quest. It was Momo, Utami, and Azumi. Then they had what was the other faction? Stars. It was Mayu, Arisa, and not Tam. Starlight Kid. Was it Starlight Kid? No, it was just Mayu and Arisa. And then the other faction was, of course, Tokyo Cyber Squad. And it was Konami, Jungle, and Hana. Now, at New Year Dash, basically there was the open market, like the open store. And when you first walk in, as the first thing you walk in, Hana, Jungle, and Konami are handing out pamphlets. You know, like, come see our show. Like, it's pamphlets promoting Stardom. And I was so shocked by that. I'm like, wait, they have the wrestlers promoting it? But I'm like, I guess Stardom wasn't really that big at the time. Like, I'm not going to say, like, it's New Japan level now. But I guess it wasn't that big in, like, early 2020. So they kind of, you know, had to. Or, you know, maybe they were just trying to, you know, get them to, you know, buy more tickets. I don't know what the case may be. But they were basically handing out pamphlets. And I was kind of overjoyed. I'm like, oh, my God, Hana, like, you know, I'm shaking her hand. I'm not being weird about it, I swear. This is in my head. But, you know, I'll go to shake their hands, Hana, Jungle, and Konami, and I get to get a picture of both of them. Now, I got this picture for free, mind you. They were very nice. I got to actually talk to Jungle, who Jungle knew quite a bit of English. I got to have a conversation with Jungle and Hana, And Hana was just so sweet and so nice. It's like just the cutest thing. And I got to take a picture with her, which if I can, I'll post that somewhere in this video. And then I believe like 20 minutes later, she had her booth. I went up and I bought a professional picture from her, which is still in my room. She signed her name. I bought one from her, Konami, and Jungle, because I'm TCS all day, every day, even though it's RIP. But yeah, that was my experience meeting Hana Kimura. During the show, I actually went to the bathroom and I walked by her again, and it was her and I want to say Azumi. Her and Azumi. Like, they were both sitting in pretzels, just very intently watching the show. And I remember walking by her, we made eye contact, and I nodded my head at her, and that was my last time seeing her, because I didn't see her when I got back. But that was my experience meeting Hana Kimura, and a lot of you already know the story. Basically, she was on this show called, I want to say, I forgot what the name of the show is, but fuck that show. It was a reality TV show based in Japan that was on Netflix. And on the show, one of her roommates washed her outfits that she wore Wrestle Kingdom, and it shrunk the suit. And basically, she was very angry. I don't want to say she slapped him, but she did something that, obviously you would expect someone to be angry to do. It's not like it's, she didn't stab him or, try to kill him or anything, but obviously she was pissed and angry. And she walked off, and apparently a lot of fans, dare I even say fans, a lot of people went online and basically said very mean, dastardly, and nasty things about her and cyberbullied her. And I don't know what her situation was before this. She could have been suffering from depression, very real. She could have had depression beforehand. She could have had any other thing going on. I can't sit here and say for sure this was why, but this is the story we're told. And because of all the hateful comments and mean comments, she posted a picture to Twitter, and many fans were very up in arms, telling her to get help, call the police. Like, it was very, very upsetting to see. She posted these self-harm pictures, like her arm was all like cut up, and it was disgusting. I was very grossed out, but at the same time I was very concerned, because obviously that's signs of, suicidal tendencies, or, self-harm is not a good thing. So she posted that online, and it alarmed a lot of people. She posted one more picture, and then next thing you know, I went to sleep. I woke up like 5 a.m. in the morning. Something fell off. I woke up, checked Twitter, and it was just an outpour and outcry. Just the saddest day, one of the saddest days of wrestling history. We found out Hana Kimura committed suicide. And it was a very upsetting day, and even thinking about it now is very upsetting to hear. And even it's when you grow up watching some, and I can't say grow up because I only been watching for 2 years, but when you get into a product because of one person, you got into them, and then that one thing that got you into it is no longer there. It's almost like this empty pit, this empty void in what you love, because the thing that really hooked you is no longer there, or suppressed or something. And even though I still love Stardom and I still enjoy the product, I feel like the lack of Hana and Arisa's presence always just has that empty space in my love for Stardom. Like, something just feels off about watching Stardom now. And even then, even a year later, it still feels off watching without both of them. Now, Arisa Hoshiki did not commit suicide as well, but she did retire. And like I said, Hana got me into it, but Arisa's my all-time favorite in Stardom. And Arisa retired in January of 2020. She retired I think maybe a few weeks later. Like, they both were gone. And it's very upsetting to talk about. It's very upsetting to even read again, but just wanted to give at least a 10 or 15 minutes to really go over their careers and what they were all about. Hana Kimura, even before Stardom, wrestled for other promotions, and she was just so talented, and she never got a chance to really show how great she could be, because she really only won the Artists of Stardom championships with Jungle and Konami. She didn't win the Wonder. She didn't win the World. She competed for the World and the Wonder, but she never won either one of those. So much like Shad Caspar, she never reached her full potential. We'll never really know how far she could have went. And it's really sad to think about why. But rest in peace, rest in power, and rest in love, Hana Kimura. We miss you dearly. That sad pill out the way. Let's continue on with the rest of this podcast. So, Impact Under Siege just happened this past Saturday, and I actually watched the show. I subscribed to Impact Plus, believe it or not. And I watched this show live on Twitch, twitch.tv/TylerSuplex. I mean, not Tyler Suplex anymore. Suplex, SOOPLEXX. And I figured I'd give a little mini review what I thought about the show. So the opening match we had was Brian Myers versus Black Taurus, which I was excited to see Black Taurus because the first match I've seen him in was at our Spring Break, which is basically Joey Janela's Spring Break 5, last month. And he was in a 6 lucha tag. I think it was him, Aries, Gringo Loco, the Laredo Kid, and like 2 other luchadors in there. And it was just a very, very all over the place spot fest with a bunch of theatrics and acrobatics. And it was just so much fun to watch. So I was excited to see him in here. I didn't know how fucking tall he was. I don't know if Brian Myers is short or Black Taurus was tall, but I expected him to be much shorter. I don't know why. But he got into the ring. I thought they had a solid opener. I hate using the word solid, but they had a solid opener. I was shocked to see Brian Myers win the match with the Lariat because I don't know if Black Taurus is, wrestling in Impact very often, but Brian Myers, to my knowledge, he ain't really a big star or anything. So seeing him get the win, I was kind of shocked by that. So I'm like, maybe Brian Myers is set up for a little push sometime down the line. Get this guy something to do. So, after that match, we had Susan and Kimberly versus Tiniel, Dashwood, and Taylor Wilde. It was great seeing Taylor Wilde live in action once again, because last time I seen her wrestling was in 2009, 2008, when she was feuding with Awesome Kong, back when I used to watch TNA Impact Cross the Line. She had a damn good feud with Awesome Kong, but she seemed like she didn't miss a step. She was still in there, agile. She did a lot of the work in here. Tiniel Dashwood was kind of out of the ring for a good part of it. Tay got the win. Taylor Wilde got the win. So, yeah, that was that. Ace Austin, Madman Fulton versus XXXL, Ace Romero, and don't ask what the other guy's name is, versus Rohit Raju and Shira versus TJP, TJ Perkins, and Petey Williams. I was excited to hear that name, Petey Williams, the innovator of the Canadian Destroyer, because I still remember back in the day in 2008, he was paired off with Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner, I think Steven Richards? No, Steven Richards was feuding, or I guess paired off with Abyss. But Petey Williams was in this very weird feud with Scott Steiner where he was trying to be the next Scott Steiner. It was a very funny feud. But that's what I remember Petey Williams for, and the fact that he innovated the fucking Canadian Destroyer. Which I like the fact that they teased him doing it in this match because it made the move feel so important. We need to do that more wrestling. Make the move feel important again. But of course, we're not going to do that. We can't go back to that. It's a overused move. But Petey Williams will restore finance back to that goddamn move. If it will kill him. Ace Austin and Madman Fulton got the dub here, so they're set up for tag team championships in the near future. Good for them. Good for them. We had W. Morrissey versus Willie Mack. W. Morrissey took it home with a big boot to the back of the head of Willie Mack, so he got the win here. The match was nothing special. We had Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering versus Fire and Flavor, a rematch for the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Rachel Ellering and Jordan Grace actually won the championships off of Fire and Flavor at the last pay-per-view Rebellion last month. And just, what was that? Maybe 3 weeks later, Fire and Flavor got the win back. And they retained, well, they didn't retain, they were the new Tag Team Champions. I was kind of shocked to see that, especially because Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering just won the championships. I don't know what the storyline is. I don't know what's going on, so I'm not really going to question it, but hey. All the power to the women over there in the Fire and Flavor. We had Josh Alexander versus El Fantasmo, otherwise known as ELPP. I like this match a lot. This, in my opinion, was the best match of the night. El Fantasmo, when he's on one, he's really good. Josh Alexander, that was my first time seeing him in singles action. I thought he definitely was a really good look, and definitely someone I want to keep my eye on in the future. El Fantasmo, I did not have pegged to win, but I did not add it out that he could get the W. But I ain't gonna lie, when he tapped out, I was shocked. ELPP actually tapped out to Josh Alexander with the ankle lock, which I was not expecting. You know, I was expecting maybe a pinfall or something, but you know, Josh Alexander's looking pretty strong here, so good for him. We then had there was a lot of matches on this card, by the way. It was like a 3-hour show. It felt kind of long. We had Deonna Purrazzo versus Havoc for the Impact Knockouts Championship. This was it was decent. It was decent. Deonna Purrazzo, she's definitely carried that women's division on her back. I don't know why I said that. Jordynne Grace is so great. Like, all the women there are great, but Deonna Purrazzo, from what I've seen of Impact Wrestling, Deonna Purrazzo tends to be one of the best things about the Knockouts division. She's always having the best matches. Can't speak for the feuds or the promos because I don't watch the show like that. But whenever I see her matches, she's always outperforming. I still believe her matches with Jordynne Grace last year were some of the best women's matches of the year. But she actually ended up tapping out Havoc with her Fujiwara armbar, or the Vochiroso lock. So she retained her championship. We then had the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega versus Juice Robertson and David Finlay, and Eddie Edwards. This was a match that by the time it was on, I did not really care much about the show anymore. Like, it just felt like a long show, had a bunch of matches on it. Kenny Omega and Juice Robertson was the thing I was most excited to see, and they were in the ring for maybe like 5 minutes, and then they didn't really do much. I guess I was expecting a New Japan-esque match from these two, and then they tagged out, and I'm like, God damn it. But seeing Kenny in the ring with David Finlay and Juice Robertson was great. I'm guessing they're building up potentially to Kenny Omega versus Eddie Edwards, because Eddie Edwards shockingly got the pin in this match. He didn't pin Kenny, but he didn't pin Carl Anderson. Now, Carl Anderson is not really a humongous name in Impact. He is a former tag team champion. And after all, he is paired off with Kenny Omega. So pinning one of the henchmen for Kenny could get you closer to a, Impact Wrestling Championship match. Not right away, because one of the guys in the next match are getting that opportunity first. We had Moose versus Matt Cardona versus Chris Bay versus Sami Callihan versus Chris Sabin versus Trey Miguel. This was a good 6-man match. Not the best one I've seen. I feel like every Impact show has this 6-5 Fatal 4-Way match, which is kind of redundant because I'm thinking back like, okay, Impact Slammiversary, they had like a 5-man match for the championship, and now here we're having a 6-man match for an opportunity. And then I believe 2 pay-per-views ago, there was like a 6-man or a 5-man. It's like, how many goddamn multi-man matches are going to do on the pay-per-view? But, hey, it was good. I enjoyed it for what it was. Moose picked up the dub. It looks like we're setting up for Moose versus Kenny Omega for the Impact World Championship at Impact Against All Odds on June the 17th. So, Kenny Omega versus Moose is official, and a lot of fans kind of figured this out when we got Kenny Omega and Moose basically going at each other in that 6-man match, I would say a few months ago. I believe it was Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Moose, Rich Swann, and maybe Tommy Dreamer or somebody else. There was a 6-man match in there, and Moose and Kenny tore it up. And from that moment, people were kind of like wondering, like, oh, it's probably going to happen at some point, and now we're getting it. Moose is one of the top guys in Impact Wrestling, so if there were anybody who could realistically beat Kenny Omega, it could be Moose. However, Impact Slammiversary is 1 month later, so I don't get the sense Kenny Omega may actually be losing that title to Moose. Who he loses to, I have no clue. Now remember, Impact Slammiversary is, in fact, basically the one show happening right after all of the WWE talent released during Black Thursday are going to have opportunities to go wherever they want. So maybe they may do a whole, we're going to have you face a mystery opponent at Impact Slammiversary. Then Samoa Joe comes out or some shit. I figure they probably won't do that because they want to build up to it, but they could. And I figure because they're doing the Moose match now, they must have something bigger planned for Slammiversary, but we'll see in due time. We shall see in due time. But now all that out of the way, I want to talk about AEW Dynamite last week. Happened earlier than Impact Under Siege. We had some pretty noteworthy things happen on the show. We had that very cringy Cody Rhodes segment that actually built up to and now is official. Anthony Ogogo versus Cody Rhodes at Double or Nothing. Cody Rhodes has had quite a few matches with a lot of guys. And of the ones he's had, singles matches, I only remember him losing 2. Chris Jericho in 2019 and MJF in 2020. He's had 1 singles loss for each year. He's due for one this year. I'd say he's due for more than one, but hey, I'll take one. Is that one to Anthony Ogogo? I don't think so, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and wait for 2 weeks to give my final predictions on AEW Double or Nothing. But as of right now, I think Cody Rhodes is winning this match because it's America versus Brit. It's integrated racial rivalries going on here because Anthony Ogogo is Nigerian and that is a African country. But Cody Rhodes brought up race in his promo, but I'll talk about that another day. I figured I'd talk about it here, but I'm like, I ain't gonna touch it. Whatever. Y'all already know what I have to say about it. The Young Bucks did end up defeating SCU, and because they defeated them and retained the AEW Tag Team Championships, SCU is officially broken up. Now, Christopher Daniels was bleeding like a motherfucker in this match. This dude was gushing blood. I don't know if he bladed too deep or what happened, but at one point, this dude came up and he was just leaking blood from his head. Like probably the most blood I've seen in AEW from one single person outside of Dustin Rhodes at Double or Nothing. Like this dude was just bleeding everywhere. Even during the post-match, segment with him and Frank Kazarian, which got cut like way too soon. Dude was like bleeding all over. I'm like, somebody help this man before he passes out from all the blood loss. I'm not gonna compare it to JBL versus Eddie Guerrero because that's almost disgusting for me to watch. But it was a lot of blood. It was a lot of blood. SCU now being broken up. A lot of people were saying that, oh, this is it for Christopher Daniels. He's going to retire. He very well could retire. And if he does, he had a great career. I don't see it. I don't see him retire. How old is Christopher Daniels? I'm going to say close to 50 maybe? Christopher. 51. Christopher Daniels is 51 years old. You know what? Maybe he is retiring. 51 years old? I mean, he's up there. We'll see in due time. I don't feel like it is. I feel like maybe he's going to be semi-retired and maybe wrestle every once in a blue moon, but we'll see. We'll see. Also in that show, Kenny Omega was waiting in the wings for Orange Cassidy and Pac to finish up their match to see who's going to be facing him at Double or Nothing, where the match ended in a double DQ after Kenny Omega got kind of aggravated and attacked Pac from behind. Now, it was revealed that during this match, Orange Cassidy got concussed, or knocked out, or got a dead ringer. One of the two. All I know is that Pac at one point hit a Liger Bomb on Orange Cassidy, and that Liger Bomb looked very, very, very nasty. I mean, Orange Cassidy floated like a fucking omelet during this move, and after that, he looked the same after that. He barely could get up, barely could move, slid outside the ring. I thought he was selling, but obviously it was because he was actually hurt. But because Kenny Omega attacked Pac from behind, this brought out Tony Schiavone, and he basically announced that at Double or Nothing, per Tony Khan, it will be Kenny Omega versus Pac versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW World Championship. Now, I said this on the stream last week. On paper, that sounds like a great match. A great match. You have Orange Cassidy and Pac going at it once again, with Kenny Omega in the mix, who's arguably one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. That's a recipe. Also, on top of this, this might be the first triple threat match in AEW. Can you guys remember a triple threat match happening in AEW? This may be the first triple threat match in AEW history. On top of that, the first triple threat match to main event Double or Nothing, and the first triple threat match for the AEW Championship. So it's a big deal. However, I don't think in anybody's mind that Kenny Omega is actually going to win this match. I mean, Kenny Omega's going to lose this match. This match has zero build up to it. It's literally a match that was put together because number 1, number 2 in the rankings, and it's 2 weeks out from Double or Nothing. There is no story going into this match. The story is Orange Cassidy and Pac are number 1, number 2, and Kenny Omega attacked Pac from behind, and now he's put himself in a situation where he has to face both of them. That is the story for your World Championship match at Double or Nothing. I think it is lazy and rushed, but they have a week. They have a week to add more layers to this. They can add more layers to Orange Cassidy and Pac. I don't know what the layers are going to be between all three of them, but they got 2 weeks. They should have did this earlier. That's all I know. And then also, Miro is our new TNT champion after forcing our Darby Allin to tap out. And I was very upset with AEW because after Miro tapped out, or basically passed out, Darby Allin, they gave him the championship, and then literally 5 seconds later, you had Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky attacking Sting from behind. This is like the 4th or 5th week in a row we've seen these guys attack Darby and Sting. When the fuck is this match going to happen? I'm assuming Double or Nothing tag team match? Gotta be, because I don't know what the hell else they keep on attacking them for. They attack Sting, then the Dark Order comes out because the Dark Order just follows Sting around all the damn time now. Then they pan back to Miro, who's posing with the championship. Then maybe they give him like 10 or 15 seconds, and then Lance Archer comes out, and he's eyeing down Miro. Now don't get me wrong, Miro versus Lance Archer sounds like it's gonna be a badass match, but y'all couldn't have give this man 1 minute to celebrate his win? Not 1 minute? This man went through shit in WWE just to get to this moment, and they couldn't even give him that. And I'm not going to sit here and act like AEW did it on purpose, because I'm sure they had good intentions, but they messed up Miro's moment, bro. They messed it up. They got to do better with that, man. They really got to do better with that. But that was AEW this week. Last week. AEW this week, we're going to preview. So the card looks like Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus The Acclaimed. That is a match I'm actually pretty intrigued by. You had the great mic skills of Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. And then I like the raps that Max Caster does. At first when Max Caster came into the AEW, I thought he was corny as hell. But he's growing on me a little bit. He's growing on me. I want to see his raps against Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. And the match itself may be good. It may be good. It may be really good. Who knows? I'm excited for it. We have the Young Bucks versus the Varsity Blondes, Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. That should be good as well. Young Bucks just putting their titles on the line every week because the Varsity Blondes did nothing to deserve this match. Not mad, but it just. Anyway, so they're going to retain, the Young Bucks will, and we will get Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. No. Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing, which is going to be sick, and I can't wait. We have Serena Deeb making a return back to AEW after being out with a ankle or a knee injury of some sort, versus Red Velvet for the NWA Women's Championship. Serena Deeb carried AEW's women's division on her back for like a solid few months. Basically the end of last year into the very beginning of this year. And she will continue to do so with that NWA Women's Championship around her waist before and after this match. Red Velvet's really good. She's talented, improving, but she's not. I don't think she's ready for that championship yet. I don't think she's ready for it. I think it's definitely Serena Deeb. We also have Christian Cage versus Matt Sydal, and I know this sounds like a match straight out of ECW in 2010, and it is exactly that. Christian versus Evan Bourne. I'm sure they'll have a really good match. Maybe good. I'm going to go with Christian Cage to win this match. We do have AEW Double or Nothing coming up in 2 weeks. And with Double or Nothing will be the Casino Battle Royale making its return. Both men are confirmed to be in the match. I'll give my predictions for that in 2 weeks' time. We have Anthony Ogogo. Wake me up before you Ogogo. Versus Austin Gunn. Anthony, he's going to get this win. Probably knock Austin Gunn out in like 20 seconds like he did his last few opponents. I want to see this guy actually go in there and wrestle. Now, we may not actually see that until his match with Cody, but I want to see him actually get some moves in. So hopefully, it's not a squash. We get to see, a suplex or something, if we're lucky. And then they just announced this a few hours ago. Hikaru Shida has finally decided to show up for work today. And she will be facing off against Rebel in an AEW Women's Eliminator match. I don't really care much for this match. Rebel will likely lose. I don't see why Rebel should be getting a championship match. I mean, I get Britt Baker versus Sheeta is at Double or Nothing. Rebel's not getting a championship match, bro. Sheeta's going to win this match. She's going to disappear into Double or Nothing, and then she's going to lose to Britt Baker. She has to fill her quota, which is 1 appearance 1 month, each month. Also, where's Riho? We literally had Riho missing from action for a year. She came back, lost, and then she's gone again. I'm tired of these damn Joshi talents that's taking advantage of us, man. Wrestle every single day. Shit. Lazy. Anyway, so let me stop. Damian Priest versus The Miz happened at WrestleMania Backlash this week and got a lot of backlash from fans. Let me stop. But that match, I didn't watch it. I ain't gonna lie to you guys, I didn't give a fuck about Backlash, so I ain't watching. But that match had a lot of people talking. And why did they have a lot of people talking exactly? Well, the match was set to be a lumberjack match. Now, it was a lumberjack match, but it wasn't any normal lumberjack match because the lumberjacks were zombies. Yeah, I'm gonna let that settle for a bit. The lumberjacks were walkers, not wrestlers. I mean, they probably were wrestlers underneath all the prosthetics. Not, AJ Styles or any of those wrestlers. No, they were walkers. They were straight out of The Walking Dead, straight out of 27 Days Later, straight out of Shaun of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Brawn of the Dead, straight out of all those movies. They were zombies seeking flesh. And The Miz and Damian Priest had to wrestle in the ring while they were making noise, fighting them off like they were in a goddamn TV show. It was embarrassing. I ain't gonna lie. Now, I didn't watch it, so I wasn't embarrassed, but I got secondhand embarrassment from watching it. I felt embarrassed for all of you who sat there and watched that shit, because y'all better than me, bro. I would have turned the fucking show off. But the secondhand embarrassment was real on my end. I feel for y'all. I got the comment from other people saying that apparently WWE, somebody in WWE said that the Blood and Guts show that AEW had last week set wrestling back 30 years in the past. As if they don't have their own fucking match called War Games in NXT. But okay. As if they don't do stunts like that every once in a blue moon with Shane McMahon. But okay. As if they haven't done worse than this. But okay. That set wrestling back 30 years in the past. So, of course, when this happens, Chris Jericho goes on Twitter like, oh, this set wrestling back 30 years in the past. And they got a lot of wrestling fans talking as to what's great wrestling, and what's allowed, and what's this, and what's that. Here's what I'm going to say about this. Was this absolutely embarrassing? Yes, it was. Because if I were watching this with a non-wrestling fan, I would have apologized. I would have damn right apologized to them. Like, I'm so sorry that you are sitting here watching. Unless you are high as hell, I don't know why you would have any interest in seeing a serious feud incorporated with zombies. There is a time and place. I'll say this before and I'll say it again. There is a time and place to do stuff like this. If it is a independent wrestling show and, you try to have fun or whatever, and it's a gimmick match, fine. Even if it's WWE and it is a gimmick storyline, fine. The issue wasn't really that they were, they were doing dumb shit. The issue was that we didn't know they were going to do dumb shit until we got to it. You know what I mean? They just kind of popped up. And we weren't expecting it. They just were kind of there. I saw the report from Sean Ross Sapp saying, basically teasing it. But who the fuck actually believed that was going to happen, right? Who the fuck believed that we were actually going to see zombies on the show? It was stupid as hell. Does that have a place in wrestling? It does. Just not in this environment. This was not the match to do some dumb shit like this. Do that dumb shit with, I don't know, Toriano and Evil and fucking New Japan. Do that dumb shit with the 24/7 championship. Do that dumb shit somewhere, like on a different show, in a different company. This match didn't make much sense to do it. Especially when you're trying to get over Damian Priest, who, mind you, a month ago was teaming with Bad Bunny, a guy who just sold out his entire tour in like 1 week. Now you got him fighting off zombies on a wrestling show? Yeah, that'll get him over, I bet. This company makes no sense sometimes, I swear. Let's talk about one more thing. A couple more things. Zelina Vega reportedly was seen at the Performance Center. Like last week, they spotted her. A few reporters, a few other unlisted names saw her, and they reported it online, and people were running with it. Like, oh, Zelina Vega's back in WWE. Then it was confirmed by Sean Ross Sapp and Dave Meltzer that this week, she's back in a PC taping things. So, looks like Zelina Vega is on her way back to WWE. After this past November, she was released by WWE for having a Twitch and OnlyFans. Despite their rule of them telling talent not to stream on third-party platforms, she's decided to stream anyway, and they fired her. They made an example out of her. They tried to embarrass her. Then when she asked to speak to Vince McMahon, they said no, you gotta leave. Had this girl crying on her live stream, not bawling her eyes out, but had her all upset on a live stream. Had a lot of fans up in arms about WWE like they are every other month. It was a disgusting thing they did to this woman. She was trying to vouch for, and the other thing they've released her for was she was trying to vouch for, what is it? Well, the name literally just forgot, just slipped my mind. She was trying to vouch for a wrestling union. And WWE hates the thought of a union, so they definitely wanted to let go of her and get that thought out of any other wrestler's mind. After being released by WWE, SAG-AFTRA, the lead union across many television, studios, audio, music, any big platform having to do with, unionization. They reached out to Zelina Vega. They had a conversation. Andrew Yang was, getting involved. Like, yeah, I'm going to talk to Vince McMahon, da-da-da-da. It seemed like for a while, Zelina Vega had something going, and she could possibly lead the pack of people who could possibly, not probably, but, very minimal, get a actual revolution started, get a possible union started within WWE. It went nowhere. And then a few months later, here we are, talking about Zelina Vega on the way back to WWE. All I can say is, money talks. Because they had to offer a lot of money. I don't know, man. If it were me, I don't know. I think for pride reasons, I wouldn't have came back. But if they would have flashed, double, triple what they were paying me prior, I don't know. I would have to think about it. So before people say, oh, Zelina Vega, she betrayed, put yourself in her shoes. I don't know how much they offered her. Now, if they didn't offer her anything else aside from her same check, that's a different story. But say I don't know, say you got fired from your job, right? Unjustly. And then a few months later, they call you back wanting to hire you. And they say they'll offer you triple what you, realistically, double what you made before and added perks. Would you accept? I definitely would think about it. Ring of Honor and New Japan are returning back to crowds very soon. Ooh, excuse me. Ring of Honor is returning back to live crowds on July 11th. They're going to be live for their Best in the World pay-per-view in Baltimore, Maryland. So I'm good to see that. Happy to see that. Them and MLW. Wrestling is coming back, basically. New Japan, after canceling a lot of their shows happening this month, they had an announcement that their shows are coming back. May 22nd in Nagoya, May 24th, 25th, and 26th, scheduled in Korakuen Hall. They will be returning back to their shows. So I guess the state of emergency ain't that bad. The wrestlers went to quarantine, all the ones that got COVID, and I guess everything is fine. So back on the road they go. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, in this country, we are lifting the mask mandate in my state this Friday. And then in many other places, a lot of protocols are being lifted. So in my country, that's fine. In Japan, where it's spiking, I don't know. I don't know about that one, Chief. Before we tune up out of here, I asked you guys some questions, and I'm going to answer them. True Fighter 901 says, is Miz a zombie, or is he? I don't know what that means. Is Miz a zombie? Maybe. We got to see who's under their mask. Ask Scooby-Doo. Waylay Long asks, do you follow Risa Hoshiki's music career? And if so, what's your favorite song? Do I follow Unlimited Dream Navigator? Not really. I don't really follow her group. From time to time, she posts music clips on her Twitter, and I listen to them, and I'm like, this is nice. I like it. But as far as like being a fan, not really. I will say this though. Her theme song, Shining Star, which was made by her own band, I still bang out to that song every once in a blue moon. Shining Star is one of my favorite women's theme songs. So, yes, if I had to say a favorite song, it's Shining Star. Shining Star. And Ty William, who is not me, asked, I'd like you to talk about the backstage drama of Cody Rhodes having heat with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. There is an open secret that Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes don't like each other. You can tell Cody Rhodes, and especially Brandi Rhodes, has a huge disconnect with Kenny Omega. I've heard this same rumor and report. I wasn't really going to talk too much about it because I don't really have much to add to it. Like Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, the Bucks having drama, like, I don't know. I'm not surprised. I mean, you put these wrestlers who, you know, all these guys in their respective times before being EVPs were main event talent. You know, Young Bucks were basically running shit, running the tag divisions all across the world. Cody Rhodes is running shit in Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling. Kenny Omega is running shit in New Japan. You have all these guys collectively coming together for this one promotion. And, you know, even though they want to put on the best products, a lot of the shit we've seen from these guys have been very self-absorbed. Who are the tag team champions right now? The Young Bucks. Who are the AEW World Champion right now? Kenny Omega. Who was a 2-time TNT champion? Cody Rhodes. Who's always in big marquee matches? All 4 of these men are always in marquee matches. You know, these guys are, as much as I love them in the ring, and I think they're really good running a company, a lot of their motives so far seem very much about themselves. And when motives are about yourself and you're bringing in guys that you want to get pushed and somebody thinks, oh, I want to push my guy, not your guy, you're going to run into some issues. So this does not shock me at all. It doesn't really shock me at all. Now, the heats that they have with each other, I'm sure they're when it comes to on screen, on camera, it's fine because we see the Kenny Omega and the Bucks together every single week. So obviously it's not that bad. Now with Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega, that might be something there because when's the last time you see Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes evolve with each other? When's the last time you've seen Kenny and Cody involved or spoke on TV, on Being the Elite, on AEW Dark, on AEW, at all? Cody's not even associated with the Elite. So if there is smoke to the fire, I could buy into that. But here's the thing. As long as they are, it's not going to affect how TV is, and that's not getting out of hand, it don't matter to me, and it does not bother me, and that does none of my business. And I feel like for the fans, that shouldn't really be their business either. And if it is getting that bad, then Tony Khan should step in as the vice president, as the guy running shit in AEW, and, you know, stop trying to act like they're your friends and tell them to get their shit together. And if they can't get their shit together, then you get the shit together for them. Because you always hear these news stories about Tony Khan letting the Bucks and Kenny Omega and Cody do whatever they want. You know, Tony Khan passes off to me as a guy who probably does let them get away with a lot. Probably does let them, you know, I don't want to say walk over him, but probably somebody who lets them do what they want. And if that starts to affect TV, then it's a problem. However, if it is backstage drama, that is none of our business. So honestly, I don't really care. As long as it don't affect TV that I watch, it's none of my business. But that being said, guys, that was Chill Spill Podcast episode 47. What did you guys think? Comment down below. Let your boy know. I love you guys as always, and I will see you all tomorrow on twitch.tv/SOOPLEXX for AEW Dynamite, and on TikTok, SOOPLEX.